What's up, soldiers? Chris here, caribbeanpot.com. Always a pleasure having you guys here in the kitchen with me. We are kicking off July's month of grilling, the 2020 edition, with a grilled pineapple pepper sauce. Stay tuned, you're going to want to watch this one, boy. Fiery, pure fire. I highly recommend using fresh pineapples, and this one is nice and ripe. So if all you can get is from the can, by all means rock the can one. The second one that you're seeing there, that's what I meant to snack on at a later time. So you take the top and the bottom off. We will trim it up in a bit, but first we want to run the knife. A nice sharp knife or a serrated knife would work as well, and a sort of a back and forth or a sawing motion. You're just working down the contour or the sides of the pineapple, like so. That's going to go into the rubbish. If you want to make juice, you can use that for making juice, and all I'm doing is cutting off any sort of blemishes from the pineapple, like here. The top parts here, I'm going to trim that off, but what I want to do is slice it now. I'm going to be using the core and everything. Now, if you're using the skin for making juice, you got to wash that pineapple really good before you do so, and I would recommend using one that's considered organic, where there's no pesticides and fertilizer and all that used, so because you're not trying to get it into the juice, right? And all I did was I chopped it up here. I've got a hot grill. Got some spray on there. If you want to brush it with some olive oil, you can certainly do that. And all you're doing is pretty much placing those pineapple pieces directly on the grill. We want to char that, because by charring it, it's going to bring out all that natural sweetness from the pineapple. Plus, it's going to give it that smoky element. So you're getting fruity, you're getting smoky, and you're getting that sort of balance with sweetness as well. Lid on and let that grill. It's been about 3 minutes on that one side, so I'm just flipping them over. And I would probably have it on here anywhere from 10 to 12 minutes, because I really want to develop that caramelization from the heat and bring out all that sweetness there, as I was saying earlier. It's been about 10 minutes. And you notice we got those grill marks on there, that caramelization happened. We're going to take these off now, allow them to cool down, chop them up, and into the food processor. It's nice and cool to the touch now. And this is why I didn't core it, because that core will add some texture and body to the finished pepper sauce. So that's just going to go into the food processor. And it's just a rough chop you're giving it, just to make it easier for the food processor. No big deal how big or how small you do it. It's just give it a rough chop. And basically you cannot make pepper sauce without peppers. I've got scotch bonnet peppers here. And I have already told you guys this tip. When I buy my peppers, I usually wash them, air dry them, and then put them into the fridge. So when I'm ready to use them, it's just a matter of chop, chop, chop. And again, just as we did with the pineapple, we're giving these peppers a rough chop. Whatever pepper you like using, feel free to use those. In my case here, I'm lucky. Plus, I love scotch bonnet pepper, Caribbean sunshine to the extreme. We're lucky here in Southern Ontario, we can get these normal in the grocery store. Typically I would grow these in the garden, but it's early summer, so there isn't in the garden to harvest yet. Wear gloves and wash your hands with soap and water after. We've talked about this on many occasions. You don't want to be touching and get that pain. That pain is real, I'm telling you. The other thing, wash your hands with soap and water after. And the final little tip, let's cut one open. We've talked about this before. This center area here, where all that seeds and white membrane is, that's where most of that heat is. If you're concerned about the raw heat, please cut that part off, discard it, toss it out, and it's going to help control some of that heat. So these are the, now as far as amount goes, I've got about 40 peppers here. depending on how much you're making. I usually make a big batch of this and I leave it in the fridge there, and I always have pepper sauce on hand. You'll also need some garlic, some shado beni, some salt, and I'm using plain old white vinegar. If you want to use red wine vinegar, you want to use a champagne vinegar, those sort of flavors is something you can appreciate, by all means do so. But I'm trying to keep this as traditional to the Caribbean as possible, where we use just plain old white vinegar. So I'm rocking that white vinegar. Gonna go in with sea salt. I've got here a bunch of garlic. I'm just gonna smash them like so, just to make it easier, as I said earlier, with the peppers and the pineapple, just to make it easier for the food processor. And I like a lot of garlic in here. Now here's an ingredient some of you may be familiar with, some of you may not. This is called shado beni, or culantro, not cilantro, but culantro. It's a bit more potent, in my humble opinion, than cilantro. So all I have is 3 leaves, yeah, maybe 4. I don't want to overpower things with that because it's really strong. So if you cannot find cilantro, culantro or shado beni as I have there, just get some cilantro and put it in there. And all we need now is, notice how simple these ingredients are: pineapple, peppers, garlic, salt, shado beni, and we need some plain old white vinegar. There's that vinegar I was talking about, and you can add more. Start off with 3/4 of a cup, and then later on you can add some more if you need to. And basically all you need to do is keep adding more of that vinegar just until you get the consistency and texture that you like. Here's where you're going to personalize it, because how thick, how chunky, how smooth, all those sort of variables, you're in control of it. I've added close to 2 cups of that vinegar in total now. I'm still working it because I wanted a slight chunkiness to it. But for the most part, I want that pineapple to break down. That's going to act as a preservative as well, along with that vinegar that we're putting in there. It is totally up to you how thick you want it. The other thing I must mention is you may want to vent your kitchen, because as this processes, the smell that comes out, it can choke you. It's peppery, I'll say that, boy. Man, does it ever smell good in the kitchen. It took about 5 minutes, and I've got a nice, chunky consistency with a lovely sauce there. This is what I call pepper sauce. We are kicking off July's month of grilling, and we've been doing this since 2009, every July. We grill that pineapple, we use fresh peppers and garlic and that herb from the shado beni, a little bit of salt, man, white vinegar, that's it. Just look at that niceness there, boy. Ooh-wee. And basically all you would do is fill that up into sterilized glass containers. Since we have that vinegar in here and that pineapple, this will stay in the kitchen counter for a couple months. Anything longer, and it will last for up to a year, anything longer in the refrigerator. Now the thing with the refrigerator I find is that it kind of causes some of the heat to sort of dissipate a bit. But Chris here, caribbeanpot.com, look for some more grilling recipes. July month of grilling is gonna be wicked, sir. Stay tuned.